Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief Recap. Slowly working towards our January 1st launch date, hopefully for our screeners. A couple weeks away now. In fact, what is it here today? It's the 12th. So hopefully within 3 weeks, we'll actually have these updated with usable information for you. So super excited for that. And Seward's working away on his screeners and getting all that up and running, so super excited. We Today is Thursdays, so on our daily brief report, actually we had the team do the report today, which makes my life a lot easier, of course. But on Thursdays we have the baby powder report from Julian from Thailand. So Site Peeps had a good half hour or so presentation from Julian, what he's seeing in the market right at the moment. I think on balance, a pretty clear message from Julian today. So thank you very much for that report, sir. And as a special treat, unfortunately, they've been going through some pretty tough times recently down under. So we had to put the down under report on pause while they were putting out the brush fires. But Johnny Salmon came on today and gave us one of his down under reports from I think actually he started his report actually out in the bush. So it was a really cool report. So a lot of that sort of 1+1=3. I really like how this community is building out. Various different views, perspectives for site members to get on a daily basis, and of course lots of fun trade ideas for you to consider. I put together a cute little chart deck here just to sort of summarize what I'd like to chat with you guys about. And of course, yesterday we talked about how it was an FOMC day. So you had to be really, really careful around these kind of markets. And I also see that it's become almost sort of like a 1-2 punch, where the ECB likes to go first and then the Fed follows them, or vice versa. In this case, it was the Fed was first yesterday, and the ECB was out today. And of course, Miss Lagarde is now running the show over there out of the European Central Bank, hearing a lot of very concerning things out of her mouth. I have a funny feeling that central bankers now all of a sudden are going to become political figures and get involved in political conversations, which really scares you. That's not a good sign in my opinion, but we'll see what happens. Might make for a good trade to short some euros here, but regardless, over the short term, what I think I saw happen was kind of like 1-2 punch trap. And I think we even said that yesterday in this little daily brief recap. Just be careful. We can't trust the market for the first full hour following the Fed announcement, but I actually think that the whole market waited for Miss Lagarde to finish her press conference, which occurred at like 5:30 in the morning my time. It was basically before the U.S. market was open. And then as soon as she was done, the market just instantly started to reprice itself. So, we're always a student of the market. We have to be flexible. It could very well be that as we're sort of, finessing around these central banker meetings, we may have to sort of change our thinking in that if they're dovetailed like that we have to wait till the last speaker finally speaks. Risk on, risk off. On balance, I'm hearing, we had a few more econs come out today, nothing earth shattering. But on balance, sort of slow and steady wins the race. The Fed basically came out yesterday and said that they expect to see themselves on pause. And the initial reaction was sell US dollars. But I don't think that was actually the real reaction. Like I said, we heard from Lagarde here today, and she's saying things about we're going to do a complete strategic review. We're going to start, looking at climate change as a concern. Now, what the hell climate change has to do with a banker And short-term interest rates, I haven't got a clue, but that's the direction that the ECB might be going in. And as I said, once she was done talking, the US dollar just took off like a rocket here. I'm a little concerned that this was, like I said, kind of a FU move against these lows, just like you see up here. And then remember, too, that the US dollar is contained within this massive, huge range. And of course, we got one more big unknown coming out tonight, in that the UK has their elections. So, not really seeing any clear direction of the US dollar. I see an FU upside, FU to the downside, and a big rally. Basically, I wouldn't be surprised if they park the US dollar almost exactly at the 50% level of that range. When we look at the market in particular, and of course, we sort of worried about this. Oh boy, how susceptible are we to a tweet or some sort of promotion out of the executive branch of the United States to finesse this market? And sure enough, as we've seen lots recently, Mr. Trump came out with tweets to the effect that China deal has never been closer, all that kind of talk. We've got the big tariff event Sunday. I'm getting the impression that these government officials are scrambling desperately to try and make sure that that doesn't kick in. But really, I'm from Missouri. I've lost faith in the idea of blindly listening to any of these politicians. So show me actual deal. But with tweets and anticipation of deals getting done and no more new tariffs, you can see risk on worked its way higher here this morning. And like I said, it was like I actually, before the daily brief starts and when I get up in the morning, I was up really early this morning for some reason. I put the words to these markets right over where they are. And that was at about 5 o'clock this morning. And then literally as soon as the guard finished talking, everything started correcting. And I noticed that the U.S. bond market really broke hard here. And of course, U.S. stocks surging to new highs. And also that was on sort of those tweets and stuff from Mr. Trump. Really interesting to watch how the oil market is continuing to surge higher here. So, Saudi Aramco deal is done. It was interesting. I saw some brokerage houses come out and downgraded that stock, saying that's just a little bit too much. But who knows? We'll see what happens. So, and then, of course, I have this crazy thesis in my brain that I think they're going to rally the stock market to exact that 1-year anniversary of the market panic dump last year. So if they do that, here we are, 12th of December, I could actually see this market sort of slowly work its way higher here for at least another week or two, right? So you notice that Christmas here is in a little less than 2 weeks. I wouldn't even be surprised if we get some sort of euphoric peak there the day or two before Christmas. Really wouldn't surprise me. So there's your conversation about risk on, risk off. Today, clearly risk on is right back on. Risk off, of course, I'm short bonds, so that looks beautiful to me. Did pick up a little bit of gold stock here recently, but I can definitely see that this was the end of the move, not the beginning of the move here today. Sort of buy the rumor, sell the news. I thought that you would have seen the top come in through that 12, or hour after the Fed yesterday, but it looks like they were waiting for Lagarde this morning. All the gold stocks, especially the junior ones, they all gapped violently higher. You can see, we talked about this yesterday, 100 level here on this gold index. 99.79 was this AB equals CD objective. Now we're painting a big red bar here. It is interesting to see. Newmont, remember we said they're actually in the market buying their own stock back right now. No signs of quit in him, and frankly speaking, I wouldn't be surprised if you see higher. But good old Barrick here is actually stalled out a little bit, but nonetheless still an up day. And, for whatever it's worth, our little gold stock that we bought recently jumped up nicely. I don't really have any plans to touch it because I really wanted to have a position because if there was going to be a takeover bid and somebody go and buy out sort of an intermediate mid-tier producer that's actually producing gold bars. This isn't a bad one for them to come and gobble up, but nonetheless, I think Alio actually, I think it almost hit like $1 today or something, but I think it's backed off now. There it is, 93, unchanged on the day, but you can see how it gapped higher here. So really, I'm not going to touch this kind of thing right now. And if anything, what I'd like to see is a nice base come in here for a move higher into the Jupiter-Saturn cross. But anyway, we'll see how that goes. So I've got a bit of insulation in the gold trade right now. But I wouldn't be surprised, like we saw the gold and silver indexes, I wouldn't be surprised if they have to take a bit of a pause here. So there is that Alio chart. This is a weekly price chart. I've got my weekly W in there now, so I'd just like to tread water for now, please. Doing a little bit of shopping, lots of tax loss selling, love buying rolled back stock options to directors shares for debt. This was a good example of that, this TELO. It's in Canada though, so if you're not in Canada, sorry. I'd also keep a real close eye on these blockchain stocks. You can see a lot of them are perking up here. Actually, this is not so much blockchains in particular. This was a whole bunch of stocks I'm looking at here this morning, but SRAX was mentioned by one of our site members on the TRI SOF Club meeting the other day. Really nice move off the bottoms here. DPW, always an interesting character, interesting stock. It did leave a bit of a gap down below, so if you are interested in buying that W, I'd probably have my bid there at 87. And then, of course, I'm always hunting for W's, good old Brian. So starting to see potential W's in like clean energy stocks. This is an ETF on the potash industry. So when ETFs start bottoming, double bottoming, that looks really interesting. And of course, what you see the sort of seasonal peak. Buy when it snows, November, December, sell when it goes, April, May kind of idea. So buy when it snows, December, sell when it goes, April, May. It seems logical to me. And so I'm out there hunting potash stocks. This one looks kind of interesting. So I'm just in the early phases. I'll probably be doing a bit of research on potash here. And then, like I said, blockchain stocks. I mean, some of these are starting to get into some very compelling areas. If we start actually seeing some W's out here, I might even start pounding the table. But some interesting action, and this is the kind of action that you actually want to see off of these lows, because this violent action is going to do things like confirm divergences. And then, of course, we start hunting for W's, and you guys know how this goes. So you can hopefully all see the divergences. This stock is actually much stronger than what the price would lead you to believe. So give me a nice W there, and we can start shopping. Okay, so that's basically what's going on in the stock market. The corn itself, not really a heck of a lot of change to the story here. Lots of back and forth. We're at a really important level. Obviously, you can see if we start closing below this level here, this is a daily chart on Coinbase. You can see that close there was 71.98.99. So we closed 2 days ago, 72. Yesterday, 72.01. Here we are, 71.99. So really the question ultimately here is, do we go and M out? And hopefully you can all see this, right? Does the market start smiling at us? If it does, that's not really a very good sign. And then, of course, higher time frames. And what's kind of sucky about this, you notice that this low here is the low there is 70.80 even. And this low here is 70.75. So what that means is if we look at our weekly price charts, we actually have inside bars that confirmed here. So on the corn there, the low of last week on stamp was 70.8709. And the low here this morning, 70.7220. So technically that inside bar has actually fired. We also, of course, talked about Ethereum. It's fired its inside bar, and Litecoin actually fired its inside bar a couple days ago. So, can't really, pound the table. This is a bull. This is a buy. In fact, actually, that itself is actually a new sell signal. Boo, hiss, boo. So, not really suggesting a heck of a lot right here. If we're really lucky, we're sort of stuck in a trading range for a while. The volatility comes out of Bitcoin, and then we actually can start turning up, and these kind of W's can start forming off the daily charts. it's wishful thinking at present, but you never know. A girl can dream. Off lower time frames, we actually saw that, and actually, I don't want to get too much into these public broadcasts doing the lower time frames. All I'll simply say is maybe we'll leave it at a 4-hour comment. If this thing can hold, and that's a big if, 66% still active. But if it can hold, right, and we start Wing out here, and then, okay, maybe we got something to work with. Remember we said that low there went through these lows, so, on an intra-bar basis, we actually have a sell signal. The only problem here is you notice that divergence. You see this little bull div. We went to lower lows in price, but higher lows in MACD, and then notice this little W here in RSI. So the rule, if you are bearish, the rule is you got to wait for this div to play itself out, right? And it's a 4-hour one, so my hunch is it's probably going to take a few hours. Probably wouldn't even be surprised if it's like through the end of the day. And, call me crazy, this thing jumps up to 7,400 and then puts in some higher lows. Well, we might actually have something developing down the road, but that's still quite a ways away. If anything, right now, we're seeing how these bullish divergences play themselves out. If once they've played themselves out, we start Ming out and breaking down, then the bear's still driving the bus. But we're at a very interesting little level here off the shorter time frames. I guess I'll finish off today with just a quick note. I do believe this is a coin picker's market. You've heard me say it at least a dozen times in the past, and here is yet another one. I do think it's a good idea for you to look at your ideas versus US dollar, not versus Bitcoin. And you notice this guy doesn't give a shit what Bitcoin's doing. He's actually pushing higher here. And hopefully you see one low, two lows. Maybe this is kind of looking a little body. And, for those people that trade off of lower time frames, day traders, all that kind of stuff, if the chart will load, there we are. Hopefully you can see that this thing botted itself out. One low, two lows, three lows, 25 level through here. Go, go, go. So I've been chatting on the site about that particular setup. What does it sort of look like off lower time frames? And how might you participate in this had you missed this entry off of the 25 level? And this is what I'm sort of thinking right now. But the point of the matter here is they're very individual stories. And hold on. Hey, only 3 today. I think that's good luck. Anyway, point of the matter here is if this is trend continuation, hopefully you can see how these sort of AB equals CDs play themselves out. I won't go into too much more detail here. It's just simply say that there are names that I think can rally in the face of a down Bitcoin market, down Ethereum, down Litecoin. And you just got to trade your setups, right? It's as simple as that. I can see a bullish setup here. Live by the sword, die by the sword. You don't know what's going to happen on a daily basis. But, as it turns out, this guy happens to be enjoying a nice up market here, even though Bitcoin's kind of like, meh. Okay, I think we'll leave it at that for today. Hope I have given you some things to think about. Have yourselves a wonderful rest of your day. All the best, and bye for now.